Well, hello, geometry. Okay, we're going to start with a brief review of what we did earlier today in class. So we talked about transversals. If you have a line that goes across two other lines or two or more lines, and it's called a transversal, it creates four angles here, four more angles here. It also has exterior angles, which is 1 and 2, and 8 and 7. So this blue part is exterior. It's on the outside of this and this line, B and C. And it also creates the interior. So this yellow part is interior. Angles 4 and 3 and 5 and 6 are interior. We talked about this earlier today. There's just that stuff written down. Corresponding angles in the same position. So if I could take this picture and drag it down wherever these numbers match. So as you see, 1, which is circled, matches with 5, which is circled. So 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. You also have 2 and 6 are corresponding. 3 and 7 and 4 and 8 are corresponding. Alternate interior angles. It alternates across the transversal. So it alternates across this line, and it's in the interior, so it's going to be the yellow part of this picture. So 3 and 4 are an example. You also got 4 and 6 are examples. That's what I wrote up here. 3 and 5, I'm sorry, are example, and 4 and 6 are example. Alternate exterior angles, so it alternates across the transversal, and it's on the exterior of lines B and C, so that makes it in the blue part. So example would be 2 and 8. Also 1 and 7, as it says right here. Consecutive interior angles, or same side interior angles. So it's on the same side of the transversal, and it's on the interior of lines B and C. So examples would be 4 and 5, one circled in green there, 4 and 5. It's also 3 and 6. Okay. So you could pause this and take a look at it if you'd like. See if you can answer these questions. What is the transversal and the name of the type of angle? So 1 and 7, for example. 1 and 7, the line that connects them, the transversal would be C. C is the transversal. 1 and 7 are going to be alternate exterior angles. 3 and 5, the line that connects both of these is also C. 3 and 5, they alternate across the transversal. They're on the interior of lines A and B, so this is alternate interior. 8 and 10, so 8 right here and 10 right here. They alternate across the transversal. Well, first of all, the transversal is B. It alternates across the transversal, and they're on the interior of lines C and D, so it's alternate interior. And then you got 6 and 12. 6 and 12. This is 6. There's 12. It alternates across the transversal B, and it's on the exterior. Okay. They didn't do any corresponding. For example, corresponding would be in the same position. 2 and 6. Those are corresponding. So that's a review of what we talked about earlier today. And that's the assignment you did in class. Now I'd like to talk to you about new stuff. Today we're going to talk about lesson 3.2. The goal is to identify the theories and postulates for each angles created when transversals are cut across parallel lines. The key is today we're talking about what happens when they're parallel lines. By the end of the lesson, I would like you to be able to explain what these are. So this is what I want in your notes, is these theorems, this postulate, and these theorems. Okay, I want you to know what these are. This is what I'm going to look for tomorrow when I quiz you. This is just a picture similar to what we talked about earlier, except for now these are parallel lines. When it's parallel, it has a little symbol on there like this. And these arrows mean it's parallel. Okay, usually you'll see it'll be arrows like that, or it might even be shaded arrows like this. Okay, but these are parallel. You got the inside, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are angles that are on the interior. 1, 2, 7, and 8 are angles that are on the exterior. So corresponding angles postulate. You know what corresponding angles are. For example, angles 1 corresponds to angle 5 in this picture. 1 and angle 5. Corresponding angles, when lines are parallel and they're cut by a transversal, that means that corresponding angles are going to be congruent. Okay, they're going to be the exact same. So if I said this is 112 degrees, it's an obtuse angle, this one is also 112 degrees. Okay, the reason is I take this whole set of angles, I don't know if I can do it, but this whole set of angles, doesn't want to let me do that, and drag them, and it didn't work, and drag it down to here and it would all match up. All these angles would match up with all of these angles exactly. Hopefully you can kind of see how that works. Angle 2 would match up with angle 6. They're both acute. And you can see that it looks like they're going to be exactly the same thing. They are. Corresponding angles are congruent. Here's some practice problems. These are similar to what you'll be seeing in class tomorrow. We're going to work some problems like these. So for example, if this 113, then this one should also be 113. 127, this one should also be 127. These are corresponding. They're in the same position. Here in this situation, these are equal. So you would put them equal to each other and solve for x. Do some math, figure out what x is. 15x equals 105. And then divide by 15, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. Okay, that's something you should be able to do. These are corresponding as well. They're in the same position. Put that equal to that, and you can solve for x. These are similar questions to what you'll be getting tomorrow. Alternate interior angles, so alternate across the transversal on the interior of these parallel lines. 3 and 6 are example of alternate interior. 3 and 6. Also, you got angle 4 and angle 5. Those are examples of alternate interior. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are, I'm sorry, that should not say corresponding. That should say, oh, that's a big mistake. That should say alternate interior. Okay, so alternate interior angles are also congruent. Okay, if you look at this one right here, it looks like an acute angle. It is, and this one is an acute angle. Those are the same. The reason this is because this is the same as that one because of vertical angles. So if I told you this was like 40 degrees, then that means this is also 40 degrees. And now this is corresponding with that one. Okay, they're in the same position. So based on what we learned just a second ago, these are the same. This is also 40 degrees if that was the answer, if that was the angle I gave you. So alternate interior angles are congruent. That's what you need to take away from this. That's what the alternate interior angles theorem says. Similar problems are just like the last one. This is alternate interior, so this is also 107. This is alternate interior, so this is also 105. These two should be equal to each other because they're congruent. Congruent means they're equal. Do some math and figure out what the value of x is. Subtract 63, subtract 63 should be negative 10. Okay, same idea, put these two equal to each other. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Consecutive interior angles. Consecutive means they're on the same side of the transversal and on the interior of the parallel lines. So consecutive interior angles. These are not congruent. A lot of mistakes will be made with students who assume these are congruent as well. If this is an acute one and that's an obtuse, obviously you can tell that these are not congruent. Okay, what happens here is if you think about it, say this is 40 degrees for example, and we know that along a straight line it should be 180 degrees. So that's also, so over here is 140 degrees. These two together make 180 degrees. Okay, what we just talked about, alternate interior angles, means that this has to be 140 degrees also. So what can you say about the same side interior angles, angles 4 and 6 for example, or 3 and 5 for example, that these two angles are supplementary. They will add up and be 180 degrees. So what I'm looking for on your notes, two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Okay, so I hope you write this part down in your notes. Here's the practice problems. These are going to be supplementary. That means this plus this, 57 plus whatever the unknown is, together should equal 180. This plus this, 62 plus whatever the unknown is, should equal 180. And more of the same. These two together, 77 plus 110, 110 degrees. Together, those amounts should be equal to 180. Okay, so you can figure out what x is. Remember, the x is the value, it's not the angle. And the same thing, this one plus that should equal 180. Okay, remember I told you beginning of class, you need to be able to write when are things equal to 180, when are they equal to 90, and when are they equal to each other. basically the majority of this class. Alternate exterior angles theorem. So alternate exterior, they are on the exterior and they alternate across the transversal. Example are angle 1 and angle 7. I'm sorry, angle 8. These angles, as you tell, they're both obtuse. In this situation, they are going to be congruent. Okay, so two parallel lines are cut by transversal and the alternate exterior angles are congruent. Some more examples. These are alternate exterior. That means they should be equal. These are alternate exterior. That means this should be 74 degrees. These are alternate exterior. They should be equal. 110 equals x plus 119, and then you would solve. Alternate exterior. These would be equal. 95 equals x plus 100, and then you would solve for x. Okay, so alternate exterior angles are congruent. That's basically it. So in your notes, you should say what all four of these postulates and theorems are. Corresponding angles when two lines are cut by transversal, then that means that they are congruent. And alternate interior angles when two lines are cut by a transversal, two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then they are congruent. Consecutive angles theorem when two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then they are supplementary. And alternate exterior angles when two lines are cut by a transversal, then they are congruent. So it's congruent, congruent, congruent. This one is supplementary. And that's basically all you need to know for tomorrow. Sorry it took so long. Thanks for watching.